Hey YouTube, as you can see, I got a haircut. And yeah, I know it's not the most awesome haircut you've ever seen in your life. That's because I did it with a pair of arts and crafts scissors and my bathroom mirror. Because I was lazy and I didn't want to go to the hairstylist. With that out of the way, let's start with the actual video.
Hey YouTube, I'm back for another round of discussion regarding the gay marriage issue and just the whole gay agenda. And there is an agenda because you can't have this much, conversation about such a small population of people unless there was some agenda, some movement to get things done.
Another homophobe. And another one who believes in the gay agenda. And if you're referring to the gay agenda as to what gays want to accomplish, well, then yes, gays do have an agenda where they want the same rights that you and I have. You know, the stuff you take for granted.
It's a couple different things that I wanted to touch on today that I probably have touched on, in previous videos, but I just still feel like it's necessary to discuss these things because the logic for opposing homosexuality and its agenda and homosexual marriage and homosexual adoption is never really put out there, and I believe that that is evidence of the media control that gays have from behind the scenes.
There's logic in homophobia? Stupid me. And here I thought it was just personal prejudice and religious superstition. So why don't you care to inform me what this logic behind homophobia is?
First of all, I want to discuss what marriage is and what is the purpose of marriage and why do societies recognize and respect marriages? Why is it? Is it just because of some Disney fluttering in your heart of love that you feel for someone and you're just floating on air? Well, that's the TV version, and if that were all marriage was about, then of course gays could get into that, because why not? It's all about emotion and has nothing to do with anything that was vital to humankind. But marriage is more than that. Okay? Marriage is more than that. Marriage is a society's way of recognizing the union of those humans that are responsible for all of our existence, even gay people. Okay? The male and female union has to be held up as the standard for the survival of a species.
So this is a very common argument among people who are opposed to gay marriage. And they say it's not beneficial to the continuation of the human race, which is correct in a sense. But you also have to factor in the fact that, well, we don't need any more than necessary people to continue with the human race. The world is already vastly overpopulated, despite what you might think, because it says in some of the comments of his third part of this video that he doesn't think the world is overpopulated. But sorry, bud, I have to be the one to inform you. Yeah, the world's population will double in about 61 years. So that's not something to look forward to, since we already consume this many natural resources. Imagine in 61 years' time. Just saying. But not to mention that homosexuals and the like, they could also adopt kids. You also realize that, don't you? That homosexuals can adopt. So, in a sense, they are beneficial to the survival of the human race. They keep our population in control. And I'd also like to touch upon one of the points you made earlier, which was why we marry. And you said that the main reason why is for the continuation of the human species. And yes, that's one reason, but that's not the main reason. That's not the only reason either. There are many reasons why. The main reason is to create a kinship between two people. Two men, two women, a man and a woman, whatever. It does not necessarily mean, though, that marriage is only meant for the continuation of the human species. Although that is certainly one thing.
Of course, if you watch, the popular culture on television, which is what is growing this homosexual agenda, is this popular television culture, this talk show culture. Back in the day it was Ricky Lake, who was very pro-homosexual, and she would bring on the parents who opposed their child being homosexual and have the crowd to boo the parents and then have them clap for the homosexual, and all of that stuff is psychological warfare, and they're going after the minds of impressionable youth by doing that. If you're a questioning youth at that age, at an impressionable age, and you see something like that, then what it does to you, what it tells you is that where I'm confused about who I am, where I really don't feel like I'm accepted in any particular group, if I, absorb this idea that homosexuality is good, and then I impose that idea and that belief upon myself, I will gain acceptance. People will clap for me. The world will be, on my side.
So he goes on and on about the media's influence amongst the rest of us with this pro-homosexual movement that the media seems to be going for. And wow, is that such a bad thing? Ooh, the media is telling us to treat homosexuals like people. Oh, those bastards! How could they say that to our children? Treat others with respect? Jeez, the media really is full of crap. No, all sarcasm aside though, this is one thing I'd have to say the media actually got right. That they're supporting, for the most part, homosexuals and homosexual marriage. And as an aside, you'd think someone like you, a racial minority like me, would have a little more understanding to these homosexuals and what they deal with on a daily basis, considering how people like us were denied our rights in America and in Canada not 100 years back. So you'd think you'd be a little more understanding to homosexuals, but I guess not. So now you're starting to complain that homophobes aren't socially accepted. And homophobia is not socially accepted, especially in schools with kids. And if kids announce to everyone that they are homophobic, then they will be, social outcasts in school. But to a certain extent, I can see what you mean. And I don't support it, to a certain extent. Because you have the right to believe whatever you want to believe, and you have the right to express it. So if you want to go on hating homosexuals for the rest of your life, that's your problem. But at the same time, you cannot blame the rest of the people for hating homophobes for the same reason they hate racists, and for the same reason they hate sexists. It's because they hate people who discriminate against others.
I will be part of a strong community that is fighting for rights and is moving forward and making progressive, steps toward a positive end. You know what I'm saying? So you feel like you're part of something, and it's not new for youth to want to be part of a movement, a part of an organization. There are gangs, there are, glee clubs, there's sports teams, there's, and a certain segment of youth that don't fit into any of those categories may find that they are accepted in the homosexual community, so they begin to take on the belief that they are homosexual and that people are born that way, and maybe they were born that way, and if they are, they get acceptance, and etc., etc.
No, that's not why a lot of people decide to join the homosexual movement. That's certainly not why I decided to join the homosexual movement. It wasn't because of social acceptance or anything. How about a story? Well, why I decided to join the homosexual movement. It's a very quick one. So, as some of you already know, my family is primarily Christian, and I also have a family member who is a homosexual, and he or she, because I'm not going to name names, is married. And so I was traveling in a car with one of my grandparents and two of my cousins. And one of my grandparents asked me, well, are you going to this family get-together? And I said yes. And one of my cousins asked, is this family member and his or her best friend coming along? And I said, best friend? They're not best friends, they're married. And my cousins were shocked. They were like, what? They're married? I didn't know that. I thought they were just best friends. And my grandmother, or grandfather, because I don't really remember at this point, said, yeah, they're best friends, kids. And one of them stared at me with this really odd look that I found really disturbing. And I thought to myself, well, why is it so taboo that we have a homosexual member of the family? Is it really that scary that it would shake the foundations of what we know and what we think is right and wrong to have a member of the family that is homosexual? Is it really that bad? Is it really that big of a deal? So yeah, that's exactly why I decided to join the homosexual movement. It's because it's the right thing to do.
This is the thing that what makes homosexuals think that people care what the hell they think? Why in the hell should we? I mean, not for any reason other than the fact that you're a citizen, you're a human, you're a person. I mean, but the fact that you choose to be with the same sex, why do you keep wanting to flaunt that in people's face? We don't care. If you want to do that, you've immediately dropped yourself out of the segment of society that is productive in terms of recreation and procreation. So you have less value to us once you choose to be that way. And I do believe you choose to be that way, and you can stop being that way. And I don't have to buy into your pseudo psychologist who you've paid off and manipulated into taking homosexuality off the mental illness list. I know a mental illness when I see one, and I don't care what they call it.
So let's first address this issue of whether homosexuality is a choice or not. And to be completely honest, there is no conclusive evidence either way. We still don't know. I have my opinion, you have yours. However, I'd like to add my answer to that question of whether homosexuality is or is not a choice. And my answer is, does it really matter? Okay? It is no different from saying, well, is it right to choose strawberry ice cream or is it right to choose chocolate ice cream? If the majority of the population likes chocolate ice cream, are you wrong to choose strawberry ice cream? No, you're not. Or, to use a better example that's more suitable and relatable to you, sir, if black people had the right to change into white people, like they could change their skin color, would it be alright for white people who were born white to say, well, you better look white in front of society, you better look white in the workplace, or we're going to take away your rights. We're going to take away your right to marry. We're going to take away your right to adopt. We're going to take away your right to join the military. We're going to take away your tax benefits. And the list goes on. And less value to us as a society? That's terrible, man. So, what about people who decide not to have children? Are they of less value to you too? I don't see you complaining about men and women who decide to be single for the rest of their lives and not have children. I don't see you complaining about them. So why are you being so harsh and so judgmental on the gays? It's because of personal prejudice. And I have plenty of points as of now to back that hypothesis up. So as for why we should support homosexuals, why we should care, you answered your own question. It's because we're human beings, supporting other human beings. And you know what? If that's an unsatisfactory answer for you, then guess what? At least in my eyes, you are less of a human being than a homosexual would ever be.